Malicious Compliance, enjoy your free smart home devices. So here's the deal. I'd built a collection of smart home devices over a few years before we decided to move to a different state, most of which were smart switches on the wall. I'm kind of a nerd, so my smart home setup is not simple and requires some tinkering. For example, I had some devices set up to not reach the cloud and could only be controlled through my home PC, so they were basically unusable once my home computer was off the network, same with the front door camera doorbell. I set them up that way to automate the devices and build some scenes. I also had to use special equipment to load non-standard firmware, which once done, you couldn't use the normal app to set it up. A few years ago we put our house up for sale in the crazy sellers market and got an offer right away. I mentioned to the buyers, who were actually pretty friendly at the time, that I would be taking my smart home equipment since it's all set up in a specific way that would probably not work for them, no objections. That, however, was not mentioned explicitly in the contract. Yes, that's my fault. As the closing date was approaching, I asked the buyers if they just wanted to buy the bundle already set up and ready to go, and that I would take the time to reprogram all the devices so they're ready to set up the standard way using their smartphones. I also told them I'd be available to help set up every single device if needed. Otherwise, I was planning on taking all the devices. The buyers decided to complain to their car salesman type lawyer, who then complained to my lawyer that I'm breaking the contract by taking switches that are on the wall. My lawyer tried to explain that I would be doing them a favor taking the stuff off the wall since it would all be unusable once my computer is off the network and it would take special equipment to program back to a usable state. Their lawyer didn't budge. Mine said they were being unreasonable and asked if I had any attachment to those devices. Well, I didn't. And honestly they weren't that expensive, I just didn't want to go through the setup all over again. Well then, I complied. I left all the switches in the wall but I thought to have fun with it. Since they were still mine until closing day, I decided to check out a bunch of new features on the switches. One feature is a built-in schedule that doesn't require any network. Score. I set up the entertainment room lights to turn on at full brightness randomly at night, around the time people usually watch movies. I also set up the smart switch in the bedroom to turn the ceiling lights and fan off and on randomly at night. I also had set up nice cabinet lights in the kitchen and bought a separate Wi-Fi controller to replace the original not-so-smart controller. That wasn't in the wall, so technically the contract said it was mine to take, and I did. It was petty, I know, but if the contract is your leverage, it can be mine also.